This is the Vomero 16, and originally I praised this shoe for being a welcome blast from Nike's past. But has the novelty of nostalgia worn off? It's time to lace up these shoes and talk about the Vomero 16 after 100 miles. 8.20 miles, 8 minutes, 50 seconds per mile, and 140 beats per minute today. Just going for a regular, easy run along the lakefront. Spring is coming, guys. It feels so good to be out there. The sun was shining, and I just felt fantastic running in the Vomero 16. Now, before I give you my thoughts on how this shoe has held up over the past 100 miles, I do want to go over some disclosures. I bought this shoe myself. No one sent it to me, and no one's paying me to make this video, and no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the Vomero 16 after 100 miles. So the first thing I want to talk about is how I've been using the shoe and how it's changed. Now, for a long time, I've always considered the Vomero as Nike's attempt at a max cushion shoe, and it's always kind of confused me that it was never really great at being max cushion. And the Vomero 16, I think, is kind of more of the same in that regard. It looks like a max cushion shoe. I mean, this tongue is just super puffy. It's so puffy that they had to fold it over on top of itself. There's just all this memory foam type padding in the heel, and to emphasize the look of all that comfort, they have it wrap over like this giant lip on the back of the shoe back here, just showing you how much comfort there is in this shoe. And then as far as the heel cup goes, there's this very rigid external heel coulter that makes sure that everything stays locked in. So there's a lot of like max cushion like features to the shoe. And so I was using it that way initially, and it was pretty good that way, but it just didn't ever feel like a full-on max cushion shoe. And in fact, it is a 29.5 millimeter stack height shoe in the heel with a 10 millimeter drop, which means there's only 19.5 millimeters of stack height in this forefoot. And in fact, compared to the daily trainer that's in Nike's lineup, the Pegasus 38 has more stack height in the forefoot than this Vomero 16 does. So things are a little bit kind of upside down in Nike's world if you're thinking about the Vomero 16 as a max cushion shoe. But that's not how I've been using the shoe. Thinking about the shoe and how it feels and how it reminds me so much of the Pegasus, or at least some of the older Pegasus shoes that I fell in love with years ago. Those were daily trainers, and I love them as daily trainers. So I started using the Vomero 16 similarly, not really looking for it on my recovery runs, not for my longest runs, but for those just everyday runs when I got to go out there, get some mileage, enjoy the day, enjoy the run. This is the kind of shoe that I was reaching for. And when I did that at those just regular easy paces, not the extra slow recovery run places, and not the extra fast or relatively faster workout paces, but just for those everyday paces, the Vomero 16 worked out great. It's got that new Zoom Air pocket in the forefoot, and it's got like an insert of Zoom X foam inside this shoe, and all that is carried and wrapped around with this very much cushlon-like foam, which I think is actually called SRO2, but whatever it is, it's a very familiar feeling carrier foam that envelops all the rest of the midsole, and I've really just been enjoying it as that everyday trainer. Now let's talk about some of the wear and tear now that I've talked about how I've used the shoe and how that's changed a little bit over the last 100 miles. Over that time, I feel like the shoe has been holding up fantastically well. And the midsole, I feel like, is doing really well. It still feels really nice and soft, feels like a great daily trainer should. I'm still enjoying that Zoom Air pocket in the forefoot and the SRO2 foam. I gotta say, I'm not sure that I'm exactly feeling that Zoom X insert that's within the midsole here. And overall, to kind of even further extend the deja vu that I'm feeling and the comparison to the Pegasus that I'm feeling in this shoe, I feel like the Zoom Air pocket and the Zoom X insert combo really just feels to me like that full length zoom air pocket that they used to have in the Pegasus 36, which is a good thing because I really liked that shoe, and that's definitely the feeling that I'm having and across those two materials that are inside the shoe. And I feel like those materials have not lost any of their springiness or their ability to absorb impact from the miles on the road. Now, as far as this carrier foam, this gray stuff, the SRO2 or cushlon type of midsole foam here, I do feel like it's compressed a little bit, not a ton. It still feels like it's a pretty fresh shoe, but I can see some visual indicators that it's compressing. There's a lot of crease marks that are appearing on this foam, and this is one of those foams where the crease marks are indicative of a little bit of compression and wear that's happening on the foams. And that's something that happened in those older Pegasus shoes. That's something happening here. I think that it's happening at about the rate that I would expect it to. So it doesn't feel like it's brand new right out of the box, but it doesn't feel like the shoe's, you know, degrading too quickly at the 100-mile mark. So I feel like I'm enjoying like the progress, how everything's like holding up. I think it's doing a really good job. Now, if we turn down to the outsole, that's where I think I'm seeing the most kind of wear on this shoe. The areas on my shoes that I tend to see the most wear are right here in the center of like the pads of the feet, and then on the outer portion of the heel. And that's exactly where I'm seeing the wear here. I'm not actually seeing too much in the heel back here, so I'm a little bit surprised about that, and I think it's doing a pretty good job. But I am seeing quite a bit of wear happening in the forefoot area of this shoe, and I'd say it's probably about average, maybe a little bit below average from what I would expect from a shoe at the 100-mile mark. So I'm not sure that this is going to be the most durable shoe that you have in your rotation, but something that I remember from all the Pegasus shoes is that the cushlon foam in those older Pegasus shoes would certainly give out long before the rubber did on the outsole. So the rubber wear isn't going to be your problem, I suspect, on this Vomero 16. Overall, I think it's going to be this SRO2 carrier foam that's going to be kind of the weak link in the chain. And for reference, for me, I would generally look to get about 275 to 300, 325 would be kind of like pushing the max limit for what I would look for getting out of a Pegasus shoe in the days before React midsole foam in the Pegasus. And so I would anticipate a very similar type of durability for this Vomero 16. If you have any questions about the Vomero 16, feel free to put them in the comments down below. I'd love to talk to you down there, or better yet, stop by the live stream I do Monday through Friday right here on YouTube. I do it over on my Kofuzi Run Club channel. I'll post a link to that in the description down below. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?